Hi. It's been a bad week. Let's go over what's happened. So, the moringa trees are continuing to do well. That's the far four buckets. Um, I'm actually kind of surprised. We were supposed to get freezing on Wednesday, but it ended up only being 35 degrees. So, in terms of plant carnage, most things are still alive. Pretty much everything's still alive in the plant world. Um, we've been getting rain, which is kind of slowly knocking down all the dirt I moved here. Basically, this area I planted onions in before, and it turned out to flood. So I've been moving dirt from the bottom of my pond over here, and it's getting there. Grass is covering it up. Over there on the woodshed, let's zoom in a little bit. I still haven't got around to putting the roof on that. Maybe the Sunday of next week, but I'm not going to get there this week. Interestingly, I thought it was going to die pepper is putting on fruit and flowers. So, that seems to have liked the cool. It's gotten cold the last few days. Now, this last week I built two new raised beds. We'll talk about the second one later. This one has been lined with cardboard just to kind of block the light, kill off some of the grass. We've been putting stuff in there that we would otherwise compost. I've still got that pile of dirt right there, and that was from when the septic system was dug out. So I'm planning to put that in here and mix it with some compost. The leftover sweet potatoes, which we weren't expecting anything from these anyways, seem to have not liked the cold. As you can see, they've got a lot of damage. I think those are just going to die off. This bed's probably going to get planted with onions in another couple of weeks once I can get some onion starts. Over there, the okra is continuing to grow, and I continue to have huge okra pods because I don't like okra. I'm not sure we're going to do this again. Okra is one of the few things that will grow in the summer, but so will sweet potatoes, so I may just sweet potato everything next summer. Over here, those are eggplants. They're not doing well, but if we look over here, our bell peppers are actually starting to grow, and they're not doing too terribly bad. That's got some peppers on it. Now, all of my peppers have fallen over, and I'm not quite sure why they've done this, because I previously didn't have this problem with peppers falling over. I've also got chard. Oh, we'll be back later to get rid of him. My chard's doing pretty well. That's the new chard. The chard that's been here for over a year. We actually, it's 2 years old. Got basically we dehydrated what we could and threw out the rest. It's probably dead or dying. Over here on my pepper plant, this was covered with flowers not long ago, and we're starting to get some red fruit. You can see that one's starting to turn. A lot of them are still very green though. Oh, that one's also starting to turn red. So hopefully I'll get a lot of peppers out of this. This is a mix of bird's eye peppers, also occasionally known as chili peppers, and serranos. But they've got huge amounts of cross-pollination just because of the wind coming across there, blowing pollen everywhere. My cherry tomatoes, I cut most of these off and was not planted beans in this bed. I just kind of was not expecting the cherry tomatoes to regrow. But as you can see right in there, they're producing. They're falling over because they're completely unsupported, but they're starting to produce fruit again. So I might get some more tomatoes off those plants before they die. Bad choice of words. My heirloom tomatoes, you can see, just kind of fell over. A lot of this stuff looks kind of dead, but it's allowing the roots to connect up to all this foliage. So we're keeping it, and something's been eating the edge of my foliage, as you can see. I've caught 2 hornworms on this, but not this week. Eggplant, need to cut those down. And then this is some more tomatoes. And I've got flowers on these tomatoes, but I don't think I've got any fruit yet. Depending on how the weather goes, we might have a couple weeks before, or a couple months before the freeze. You know, it might be now, it might be end of December. So there might be fruit on these, might not. It'll depend on the weather. Now, you may have noticed there's no chickens in the background on this. And there's the coop over there, is also pretty empty. What happened on Sunday, my wife and I went out hiking, which is pretty normal, you know, go hit a state park, put some miles on the boots. Trying to keep this clean. Somebody decided they didn't want their pet dogs anymore. So they drove out to the country and just dropped off their dogs. We think 4 dogs total. Not necessarily they dropped them off on this property, them somewhere in the area. But either way, the dogs ended up here. We caught 2 of the dogs on the Ring camera while we were actually out hiking, and didn't think much of it. It turns out 2 of the other dogs came around back here, and one of them was really small, and he managed to go underneath that fence behind me, probably actually into the chicken coop through that tiny little coop door, and killed all my chickens. That's my first experience with livestock. That they were 9 or 8 months old, maybe a little more. And they were kind of like pets. I mean, I'd walk out here, they were all clucky, happy to see me. I'd sit in there and I'd have like chickens on my lap. And those dogs killed them all. Didn't eat them, left the corpses mostly intact. Just, like completely wasteful. Yeah. Had the sheriff out. The sheriff couldn't do anything. Because one of the dogs actually stayed on the property, the small one that did most of the killing. And the sheriff couldn't do anything about it. That dog's gone now. 2 of the chickens survived the initial attack, and I thought they might both make it. I thought one of them definitely was, and they both ended up passing early the following morning. I brought them inside, set up the brooder kind of as a makeshift hospital, but nope, lost them both, lost them all. So a lot of my projects are kind of on hold. I'm planning on making a armored chicken run. I want something to hold out, like keep a gorilla out kind of armored chicken run out there. So I'm going to be spending a lot of my pennies on wood and hardware mesh and fencing, things like that, to try to build over there before we start another flock next year. Yeah, about the raised bed. Well, that's got a bunch of chickens buried in there. I'll put some more dirt on there. Okay, trying to hold it together. It's definitely been a bad week. And as you can see, like, there's bedding and even some feathers. Definitely been a bad week. I am kind of glad that I recorded some videos of them as they were growing up, so I can go back and watch that playlist and, yeah, kind of see them, but it still sucks. And for what it's worth, this county, like from what the sheriff told me when he was out here, they have a huge problem with people coming out here and abandoning dogs. There's also a problem with people coming out here and abandoning horses. But people who get a pet and don't want it, just drive out to the country, kick it out of the car, and make it somebody else's problem. Anyways, I got to get to work. And if you're not already gardening, you should. You have to wear a cool hat. You should probably also raise chickens, even when it sucks.